Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be doing a full review of the T-90S Bhishma TWMP, of which is a currently 10.3 BR, rank 7 squadron vehicle in the British Ground Forces tech tree, though of course flies with the Indian flag. In this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this tank, including its stats, how it plays, I'll go over its strengths and weaknesses, I'll give some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation, and if I feel this vehicle is either worth grinding for or purchasing or none of the above. As always, please consider subscribing if you'd like more content like this, but without further ado, let's get into the video. Now to start, I'll place its stats here on the side of the screen. Things to note are its armor, its power to weight ratio, and its cannon. And additionally, TWMP means track with mine plow. Now that said, for how it plays. In short, this plays essentially identically to a mostly spaded T-90A, or just most T-72s, kind of like a T-72 terms, except with a bit more horsepower. It has very good armor, a great cannon, and good speed, which makes this a jack of all trades on the battlefield. It can frontline, it can support, it can flank, and it can even base cap. Heck, with its time fuse shells, as well as its ATGMs, it can even go after aircraft with some success. Match all of this with its great 12x Gunner's optics and 2nd gen thermals, and you have a capable sniper as well. While the weakest major links on this vehicle will be both its speed and 3-man crew, these never truly made me feel like I had a weakness on this tank. Maybe a soft spot, but never a weakness. Put concisely though, the Bhishma can do whatever you want, as any MBT should, though this one just feels better than most others, likely due to its favorable BR and the fact that its 3BM42 APF SDS is still plenty sufficient for taking out anyone that it might encounter. Just make sure that you don't flank too quickly, as its turret reverse, vertical cannon guidance speed, and reverse speed are all weak on this vehicle and could put you in a bind, as Russians apparently don't believe in retreat. Now that being said, for its strengths and weaknesses. Now for its strengths, despite having the 3BM42 compared to the Russian tech tree's 3BM60, it is still extremely effective at this BR, especially when in a down tier. For its second strength, it has excellent frontal hull and turret armor. Third, the T-90 Bhishma has a low profile. Fourth, it has good speed and maneuverability, though not world class. Fifth, it has an HMG on top of the turret. For its sixth strength, it features the ability to fire 9M, 11, 9M1 tandem charge ATGM, which gives this vehicle extra versatility against both ground and air targets. Seventh, it has an autoloader that provides consistent reloads at 7.1 seconds. Eighth, it has good gunner sight zoom of up to 12 times. For its ninth strength, it features a time fuse HE shell, which is great for taking out aircraft. Beyond this, it has commander sights. For its 11th strength, the Bhishma is in down tiers fairly often. For its 12th strength, it has a dozer blade, but I personally choose not to use it because it adds to repair cost. Beyond this, it features 2nd gen thermals, and finally, despite still being Heat FS, the 3BK18M Heat FS on the Bhishma is among the best in War Thunder. Now for its weaknesses. The Bhishma features an awful reverse speed of only 4.2 kilometers per hour. For its second weakness, this features a crew size of only 3, which means that an enemy shell that pens the tank might be able to kill you a little bit more easily than if you had a 4-man crew like many NATO tanks. For its third weakness, it features a mediocre turret traverse rate. Fourth, it features poor cannon depression and elevation at only -4 to 14 degrees of elevation. Fifth, unfortunately, despite being autoloaded, the reload can be a touch slower than Western MBTs and is not modifiable with crew skills. Beyond this, it has a large, easily destroyable ammo rack that will result in tons of deaths, should you be penned of course. For its seventh weakness, it lacks the Stora 1 APS on the front of the T-90A, which would normally interfere with the guidance of some types of ATGMs, though this is of course replaced with additional Contact 5 ERA, which I personally prefer over the Stora 1 APS. For its eighth weakness, the Bhishma primarily only uses ERA on the front of the vehicle like one would expect, aspect, and of course being that ERA is more or less one use only, once it's destroyed the composite armor underneath is meh at best. Beyond this, it lacks lower glacis armor, and finally, the Bhishma features an awful vertical guidance speed for the cannon. It only moves at around 1/5 to 1/10 the speed of NATO MBTs. Now with all that said, let's get into how I score this vehicle. For armament, I give it a 7.75 out of 10. At 10.3 BR, the 3BM42 is not only perfectly sufficient, it's really pretty damn good. With over 450 millimeters of armor pen at max and a great muzzle velocity of 1700 meters per second, the 3BM42, in my experience, is a mostly one-shot, one-kill sort of shell, as it can typically pen most areas on a tank and compares favorably with the APF SDS on similar BR tanks. Better yet, in my experience with the Bhishma, I have largely been in down tiers, which has really allowed for this armament to shine. Even in up tiers, however, the accuracy of this cannon will allow you to hit weak spots on higher BR tanks with ease. Better yet, the Bhishma has access to a roof-mounted HMG and a cannon-launched ATGM, both of which will assist in taking out aircraft and light vehicles, though of course the ATGMs can also take out more heavily armored vehicles. Now for its mobility, I give it a 5.75 out of 10, and I was kind of flipping between 6 and even 6.25 out of 10, though looking at other vehicles, I'd say 5.75 is pretty decent. The mobility outperforms its power to weight ratio, I would say, at this BR, but not by much. While it isn't stellar in this category, such as some of the premium offerings in the premium Leopard 2A4 and M1 KVT, the T-90S Bhishma still has more than enough mobility to go anywhere on the map about as quickly as anyone else. The biggest negative here will be the awful reverse speed of just 4.2 kilometers per hour. Now for its survivability, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. At its BR, and especially in down tiers, the Bhishma is surprisingly survivable and will sometimes take dozens of hits from the front if positioned well. While it maintains the same poor side and rear armor of essentially every tank ever made, its strengths in this category are possibly stronger than most other tanks that it will face, especially considering the relatively large amount of down tiers that it sees. Between its effective ERA and decent enough composite armor, the T-90 Bhishma has got to be one of the most survivable tanks at this BR. Now with that said, overall, I give it a 7.25 out of 10. In all, the Bhishma, despite being a downgrade on the T-90A, is still extremely powerful and immensely benefits from having a lower BR. While its mobility is good to even great, depending on how you look at it of course, the overall combat potential of this vehicle is extremely high. The 3BM42 is plenty to kill anyone that it hits with ease. Its armor is incredibly tough, especially in down tiers, and it even has a limited amount of versatility versus aircraft as well. In all, as I said before, this is a jack of all trades. Now with that said, do I recommend purchasing the T-90S Bhishma? Yes, I do, but I would strongly recommend that you grind for it instead, or at least purchase it with GE after you've already put a substantial amount of RP into it so that you get a reduced GE cost, as Squadron vehicles have no special benefit in the overall grind through a tech tree, functioning even slightly worse than a regular tech tree vehicle in that regard. Of course, if you want to learn more about that, I'll link a video below explaining what I mean. Regardless, the Bhishma is an absolute powerhouse, sporting effective Gen 2 thermals, a great armament, fantastic armor, and fairly good speed, so long as you don't want to back up. All three of these things make it into a winner in my book, and for that matter, makes the Bhishma into arguably a top 2 or top 3 Squadron tank relative to BR for War Thunder. It's that damn good, and it receives my Tankenstein seal of approval. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Please, if you don't mind, consider liking and subscribing, as well as letting me know in the comments below what you think about the T-90S Bhishma. Either way, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.